Good afternoon, I'm Mona Priya and welcome to Updates at Noon. The open payment toll system is expected to start at selected highways in the country starting September. Works Minister Datuk Sri Alexander Nantalingi said the system would be implemented in stages at all lanes involved.
Peringkat awal ni ada 12 Ibu Raya yang sudah bersetuju untuk buat. Hasrat kita, objektif kita untuk semualah nanti. Tapi kita kena tengok kalau mungkin ada beberapa tol mungkin tak dapat buat sistem. Secara teknikal kita akan pertimbangkan. Tengok.
Among highways that would be using the open payment system are the Ampang Kuala Lumpur Elevated Highway, AKLE, Guthrie Corridor Expressway, GCE, Sungai Besi Expressway, Best Raya, New Pantai Expressway, NPE, Penang Bridge, JPP, and Butterworth Kulim Expressway, BKE. The initiative is part of the government's efforts towards a multi-lane fast-flow toll system, which is projected to be fully realised by the end of 2024. Prime Minister Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim reiterates his commitment to put an end to the hardcore poor problem in the country, including among the Indian community, who are regarded as among the poorest. Deputy Entrepreneur Development and Cooperatives Minister K. Saraswati said the matter was raised by the Prime Minister himself during a special meeting with Indian members of Parliament from the Unity Government and other leaders of the Indian community.
Di Semenanjung, kaum India merupakan dari segi rasio adalah satu kaum yang paling termiskin. Jadi sementara menumpukan perhatian untuk menoktahkan kemiskinan tegar, semua kaum India juga harus diberi penumpuan supaya hasrat kerajaan Madani untuk memberi peluang yang saksama kepada semua pihak mengikut kedudukan mereka akan dicapai. Jadi ini adalah satu mesej daripada Yang Amat Berhormat Perdana Menteri bahawa tidak sesiapa pun harus terpencil ataupun dipinggirkan dalam arus pembangunan negara.
She said this in a media conference after the meeting. Also present at the meeting were MIC Deputy President Datuk Sri M. Saravanan, DAP Vice Chairman M. Kulasekharan, Senator Datuk Nelson Renganathan, Senator Datuk C. Sivaraj, Batu MP P. Prabhakaran, and Malaysian Indian Community Transformation Unit Mitra Special Task Force Chairman Datuk Ramanan Ramakrishnan. Malaysia reiterates its support and solidarity to the people of Palestine in their fight for independence from Israeli illegal settlement. Minister in the Prime Minister's Department for Religious Affairs, Datuk Dr. Muhammad Naim Mokhtar said this during a courtesy visit by Al-Aqsa Imam Sheikh Dr. Terima Sabri to his office.
Kita kerap mengeluarkan kenyataan yang tegas agar kerajaan rejim Zionis Yahudi ni di Israel untuk tidak menzalimi dan menceroboh khususnya Masjidil Aqsa. Perbincangan pun kerap dilakukan dan alhamdulillah kita telah dikunjungi oleh Syekh Dr. Terima untuk kita tahu lebih mendalam kedudukan sebenar yang berlaku di Palestin itu sendiri.
During the meeting, which lasted for about half an hour, Sheikh Dr. Terima also expressed gratitude for the ongoing support by the Malaysian government for the people of Palestine. The Imam was invited as a special guest for the 2023 World Palestine Congress, which is scheduled to take place between 17th and 18th of June, organised by the Malaysian Research and Education Foundation. Head of departments and agencies as well as senior officials are urged to go down to the ground more often to ensure all government visions and policies reach the grassroots level and are implemented properly. Chief Secretary to the government, Tan Sri Muhammad Zuki Ali, said the leaders should not rely solely on their subordinates.
Dalam kedua keadaan, vision kita hendaklah dipahami dan diketahui oleh orang. Sebab itulah dalam apa jua organisasi yang kira Datuk tuan-tuan dan puan diberi tanggungjawab besar kecil, vision tu kena ada dan share value kena ada dengan orang kita lah. Tidak kalau kita tak faham apa yang kita nak bawa, cakap sendiri lah. Dia expect orang ni tapi dia punya apa yang dia nak bawa tu tak sama dengan apa kita nak capai. Jadi akhirnya menjadi langkah pola.
He said this at the dialogue session with KSN, moderated by University Utara Malaysia UUM Board of Directors Chairman Tan Sri Dr. Muhammad Syukur Mahfar yesterday in conjunction with the launching ceremony of UUM's Master of Public Management Program 20th Anniversary celebration. 2 women and a man were arrested in a police operation carried out at a laboratory producing counterfeit medicine in Taiping, Perak on Tuesday. Royal Malaysia Police Secretary Datuk Nur Saaduddin said in the raid, police confiscated processing equipment and medicine worth 6.4 million ringgit. It is believed that the processing equipment and medicine seized have no approval from the Ministry of Health. According to Datuk Nursia, the operation was a joint effort with Wildlife Crime Bureau, WCB, Security and Public Order Division and the Health Ministry. The case is being investigated under Section 7, Subsection 1A of the Control of Drugs and Cosmetics Regulations 1984. For the period of 1st January until today, 8 raids were conducted by WCB with seizures worth over 12.8 million ringgit. She added PDRM is committed to help the ministries and government agencies in tackling various issues that threaten the public order and security. Still to come, Selangor to expand mobility initiative. Stay tuned. The Selangor Mobility Initiative will be expanded to 8 more zones starting September this year to increase public transport's accessibility in the state. According to Menteri Besar Datuk Sri Amiruddin Syari, the state government has identified the zones that will be included in the initiative by focusing on saturated areas aside from requests on narrow routes.
Kita akan kenal pasti. Memang sekarang dah telah dikenal pasti pun. Tapi tunggu masanya sesuai. Letter of intent just submit. So mereka memerlukan 2-3 bulan. Lihat kepada pilot dan test projek kita. So the moment semuanya nampak baik. Sebab mereka akan menggunakan teknologi. Sebagai contoh bila saya try baru ni di kawasan Sungai Tua atau di Gombak tu, Selangor Mobility tu, dia menggunakan aplikasi. So penggunaan aplikasi ini memerlukan masa untuk keserasian dan memerlukan masa untuk masyarakat.
He said this after the launching of Selangor Mobility Forum at the Shah Alam City Council Convention Centre yesterday. According to Datuk Sri Amiruddin, so far the initiative had been implemented in Gombak, Selayang and Puchong. He added, aside from focusing on transportation mode, the initiative is also focusing on other infrastructure such as bus stops, micro-mobility and e-scooter. The Johor State Government expressed its gratitude to the Health Ministry on the attention given to overcome the issue of public hospitals' personnel shortages in the state. Now, the reopening of 2 wards at the Sultan Ibrahim Hospital and the addition of 33 more nurses will be able to expedite medical treatments of the patients as well as alleviate the burden on the existing staff. Johor Menteri Besar Dato' On Hafiz Ghazi said the state government will also discuss the proposal for the construction of Sultanah Aminah II Hospital during the working visit by Health Minister Dr. Zaliha Mustafa.
Tentang pembinaan HSA 2 yang sangat diperlukan di Johor. Kita harapkan bahawa perkara ini dapat terselesaikan segera kerana Johor ini menjadi pusat bukan saja untuk Johor dari segi pesakit-pesakitnya. Kita terima pesakit daripada seluruh negara.
A total of 294 projects worth 6.6 billion ringgit were recorded by Perak within 1 year of the 2030 Perak Sejahtera Plan implementation. State Menteri Besar Datuk Sri Saarani Mohamad said this was an indicator that they are currently on the right track towards developing the state even further. He added within just 1 year, the state received high-impact projects such as the Automotive High-Tech Valley AHTV in Tanjung Malim, XP Power Electronic Plant construction in Sri Iskandar, and the construction of Mineral Processing Factory in Silver Valley Technology Park.
Kita berada pada track yang betul di mana semua jawatankuasa, pemandu jawatankuasa pelaksana kita bermesyuarat dan monitor program-program yang dijalankan oleh sama ada Jabatan Kerajaan atau GLC atau NGO. Kita nak pastikan semua itu berada pada landasan yang betul menuju kepada pencapaian 5 perkara tadi, iaitu sekuriti makanan, peluang pekerjaan, rumah, kesihatan dan juga peluang pendidikan dan pembangunan belia.
He said this at the 1-year journey of 2030 Perak Sejahtera in Ipoh yesterday. Datuk Sri Saarani added the 2 committees were set up to ensure the success of 18 flagship programs underlined in Perak Sejahtera Plan 2030. Kelantan is expected to receive a 1.7 billion ringgit of allocation from the federal government to resolve its water woes. Deputy Menteri Besar of Kelantan, Datuk Muhammad Amar Nik Abdullah said through a meeting with the Prime Minister, Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim, a dedicated task force was established involving the Ministry of Finance and the state government. He added the task force had already held its first meeting to discuss the issue recently. Previously, Datuk Sri Anwar said an early application by the state government totaling 8 billion ringgit to resolve the water supply issue was rejected as the figure could be lower and the federal government needed time to revise the amount. The Prime Minister added that the issue required early intervention and the government is ready to allocate funds for medium and long-term projects to fully resolve the issue. UN chief slams inadequate response to climate change. That and more coming up in the foreign segment. TikTok's chief executive said the company would pour billions of dollars into Southeast Asia in the coming years, as a report showed its nascent venture into online shopping is paying off. The popular video sharing app's e-commerce affiliate has gained a substantial market share in the region just a year after its launch.
We have already grown from almost 100 people in the region, employees, to, when I say region, I mean Southeast Asia, to almost 8,000 employees today. And we have nearly 2,000 employees who are working on TikTok in Indonesia. We see our growth opportunity here to be very immense. And we look forward to investing more in this country and, of course, in the region.
Chew said 125 million Indonesians comprise the majority of the app's 325 million Southeast Asian users every month, and more than 2 million sell their wares on TikTok shops in Indonesia, the region's biggest economy and most populous nation. Users sell a range of tech, fashion, homemade products and other goods on the platform. Chew's comments came as Singapore-based consultancy Momentum Works released a report Thursday detailing how TikTok Shop capitalized on legions of users to expand its business in 2022 after testing the waters in Indonesia a year earlier. United Nations Secretary-General Antonio Guterres said the world is racing towards a climate change disaster and dismissed the global response as woefully inadequate. Current climate policies will lead to average temperatures 2.8 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial times by the end of the century, nearly twice the UN goal of 1.5 degree rise.
The climate agenda is being undermined. At a time when we should be accelerating action, there is backtracking. At a time when we should be filling gaps, these gaps are growing. We are hurtling towards disaster, eyes wide open, with far too many willing it all on wishful thinking, unproven technologies, and silver bullet solutions. It's time to wake up and step up.
He said the fossil fuel industry must undertake not just transition but full-blown transformation as it moves toward clean energy and away from a product incompatible with human survival.
Very important.
UN nuclear chief Rafael Grossi yesterday said the situation at the Moscow-occupied Zaporizhzhia atomic power plant in Ukraine was serious but being stabilized as Kyiv reported progress in its counter-offensive. Head of the International Atomic Energy Agency, IAEA, Grossi, whose trip was delayed by a day as fighting intensified in the southeastern region of Zaporizhzhia, arrived to assess potential risks.
I must say it was extremely difficult. The planning of the mission, obtaining the necessary agreements to come here. Until a few hours ago, I was not sure whether I would be able to come here and visit the plant.
He said he was able to see the plant's cooling pond and there was sufficient water. He also said he wanted the world to be aware of the danger that there could be a major accident. Grossi's third trip to the plant, which fell to Moscow's forces early in their offensive, came as Ukraine, bolstered with Western weapons and training, pushed its long-awaited effort to force Russian troops off its territory. Fears for Europe's biggest nuclear plant, which have persisted throughout Moscow's Ukraine offensive, have been exacerbated by the destruction of a dam that provided the cooling water for the plant. Russian President Vladimir Putin and Algerian President Abdelmadjid Tebboune pledged to deepen their two countries' strategic partnership as the Kremlin seeks to pivot Russia towards Asia and Africa. Tebboune's three-day state visit comes as Moscow's offensive in Ukraine stretches into a second year. Amid ruptured ties with the West, Putin is seeking to bolster relationships with countries in Africa, Asia and West Asia. According to Putin, Algeria is a key partner for Moscow in the Arab world and in Africa, adding Russia wanted to ramp up energy and military ties. The two leaders signed a declaration of deep strategic partnership, among other agreements. The Kremlin plans a new Africa summit in July in Russia's second city of St. Petersburg, and Putin repeatedly stressed he hoped to see Tebboune there. Meanwhile, Tebboune said that Western pressure on Algeria would not have any impact. Tebboune was due to visit France in June, but the trip, initially planned for May, might reportedly be postponed again. The French presidency said the two countries were discussing a suitable date. At least 10 people died yesterday in a road accident in central Canada's Manitoba province. Canadian police said on Twitter that officers were responding to a mass casualty collision near the town of Carberry, west of Winnipeg, and that first responders and other Royal Canadian Mounted Police units were on the scene. According to media reports, the accident involved a semi-trailer truck and a minivan specialized in transporting disabled people. Authorities said the highway was closed in both directions and they were asking motorists to avoid the area. According to Nirmesh Vadera, who works near the accident site in a roadside hotel restaurant, numerous emergency vehicles and 2 helicopters were at the scene of the crash, which occurred around midday. He said a semi-trailer truck was lying on its side along the roadway while a smaller vehicle was in flames. In 2018, 15 people were killed in an accident in the neighboring western province of Saskatchewan when a truck collided with a bus carrying young ice hockey players. Still to come in sports, Real Madrid unveiled British gem Bellingham. Stay with us. The National Sports Council, NSC, remains optimistic that the national contingent performance in the Cambodia SEA Games will not influence outcome in the upcoming 2022 Asian Sports in Hangzhou, China this September. The sporting body's Deputy Director, Suhardi Alias, explained that the events contested in the two sports were not the same, while the scenarios were also different. He said the majority of the events in Asian Games are similar to those contested in Olympic Games, giving equal opportunities to all athletes to bag gold medals. On the target set for the upcoming Asian Games, Suhardi said the matter will be finalized in the medals target meeting with Olympic Council of Malaysia, OCM, National Coaches Association and team managers as well as coaches soon. The 19th Asian Games is scheduled to take place between 23rd September to the 8th October. Real Madrid unveiled English midfielder Jude Bellingham on Thursday after signing the British talent from Borussia Dortmund for 6 years. Bellingham said he had no doubts when he received the offer from Florentino Perez club, as Real Madrid is the greatest. Bellingham signed from Borussia Dortmund in a deal worth €103 million plus add-ons. Bellingham is the third player signed by Real Madrid for a fee of at least €100 million after Gareth Bale in 2013 and Eden Hazard in 2019. Bellingham, who has been linked with several major European clubs, joined Dortmund from Birmingham City in 2020 for £25 million, becoming the most expensive 17-year-old in football history. At Real Madrid, he will join a side rich in young midfield talent such as Federico Valverde, Eduardo Camavinga and Aurelien Tchouameni. Real, record 14 times European champions, are in the process of rebuilding their squad following the high-profile departure of Karim Benzema, Hazard, Marco Asensio and Mariano Diaz. Meanwhile, Real Madrid's Vinicius Jr. will lead a special FIFA anti-racism committee made up of players who will suggest a stricter punishment for discriminatory behavior in football. FIFA President Gianni Infantino made his statements after meeting Vinicius and the Brazilian national team, who play Guinea in Barcelona on Saturday as part of the anti-racism campaign led by the Brazilian FA. He added that when there is displays of racism in a match, the game must be stopped.
Vamos a implementar medidas muy contundentes, muy fuertes para terminar ya con el problema de discriminación y de racismo. Vamos a crear un grupo de jugadores en actividades que se reúnen con FIFA para proponer medidas concretas, porque nosotros como dirigentes nuestra responsabilidad más importante es poner a los jugadores en las mejores condiciones para jugar, para dar alegría a la gente.
Brazil forward Vinicius was racially abused by fans when Madrid played Valencia in May, the 10th such incident involving the 22-year-old that La Liga has reported to prosecutors this season. Manchester United could add up to $2 billion to the club's market value if they make investments to further monetize their global fan base. Now, the club is negotiating granting exclusivity to the consortium led by Qatar's Sheikh Jassim bin Hamad Al Thani in talks to sell for more than $6 billion. According to finance expert Neil Joyce, a $6 billion plus deal for United would be one of the biggest ever in sport and would value the club at more than 10 times last year's annual revenue. He said a calculation was made that there's anywhere between 150 to 250 million of incremental revenue Manchester United can make through monetizing its global fans. According to Joyce, United should pay more attention to those who support the club from a distance. United have over 650 million fans worldwide, according to market research firm Kantar, and a large number of them have been expecting a change of ownership amid club's recent lack of trophies. United finished third in the Premier League to secure a spot in the Champions League next season, but face a tough task to revive former glories. As Mercedes driver Lewis Hamilton gears up for the weekend's Canadian Grand Prix in Montreal, he is also making headlines as fans wait for news on whether he will sign a contract extension with Mercedes, something that appears imminent. Hamilton said talks have continued with team boss Toto Wolff, but he was short on details.
No, we never have pizza. No, but yeah, I've seen Toto. We've talked several times, and so we have a great relationship. So, but there's nothing else to say at the moment.
Any progress made?
Yeah, but nothing else new to really add to it.
Hamilton has a good shot at reaching the podium at the circuit where he took his first win as a rookie in 2007. But Aston Martin are also hungry for a win after Mercedes overtook them for second place in the constructors' standings after Spain. Meanwhile, Fernando Alonso can be aggressive on the track, but away from the circuit, the Aston Martin driver left the tough talk to team owner Lawrence Stroll, who is looking for both his cars to finish on the podium at the Canadian Grand Prix on Sunday. The Montreal stop is the home race for the Canadian billionaire, and Stroll told Reuters this week that he was hoping to see his son Lance, who would be the first Canadian on the home podium since Jacques Villeneuve in 1996, and Alonso to finish in the top three. An upbeat Alonso hoped he could live up to his boss's expectations this weekend.
It should be a good weekend, but you never know until you hit the track. We also had expectations in Barcelona, and we didn't perform on that race. So, yeah, let's see. We have a couple of new parts in the car as well on this race. So, depending on the weather, we will try to test them and validate them, and yeah, hopefully we can be a little bit more competitive than Barcelona.
The Spaniard and Aston Martin had high hopes for the last race, the Spanish Grand Prix, but failed to deliver, with Stroll placing 6th and Alonso 7th. And that ends updates at noon today, wrapping up with a recap of our top story: open payment toll system to commence operations from September. Tune in to Malaysia Tonight, coming up at 8:30 p.m. on saluran Berita RTM. Now we leave you with visuals of upcoming Asian Games torch lighting ceremony, which was done at an ancient Chinese archaeological site with the sun's rays lighting the torch. I'm Mohana Priya, Salam Malaysia Madani, Dekat Perpaduan, Penuhi Harapan.